When we're about to delve with page 5, which dealing with sub-specification of Hancha and Akira, for those who join us, we give a short background. In the previous 4 pages, we discussed detail of 2 entities. One, it's called Melacha, meaning a primary work, and one is called derivative work, which is Tolada, a subsequent. And we explain that there are 39 types of work on Shabbat. The one we zoom in is a work that's called Hotza'a, which is carrying or moving from one domain to another. And we explain that there are 4 different domains. I'm sure that everyone remember them, but just reviewing them. One is a private domain, Reshut HaYachid. Second is a public domain, Reshut HaRabim. Third one is a Carmelit. And the fourth one is Mekom Ptur. And again, a minute's review. Reshut HaYachid, it's 16 inches, 4 by 4 hand cubit, which have a border around it, and that private domain including the air space above the domain and anything beyond, meaning on the bottom. It's a private own, and that person not only owns that property, he owns the airspace above the property, which means if an airplane passed by, he needs to get a dividend in that sense. And the same, someone dig and reach something under his property, it still needs to pay because it's all he's owning the entire domain. Public domain is something that people go in and out and walking. A large amount of people go all the times. That's Reshut HaRabim. There is a different category in Reshut HaRabim that it's different in the sense of halacha. We call it Carmelit. Carmelit, it's desert, river, ocean, meaning people pass by from time to time, but it's not like a regular public domain when you see a moving people, like 600,000 people moving constantly from one location to another. Carmelit we treated as public domain, in the sense if a person carried from Carmelit to private domain, we treated as a public domain. And also we said if someone did something in an airspace, the same way as public domain, airspace it's considering a makom ptur, that's the 4th category, which means a public domain, it's a public domain, so therefore if it's above the 10 hands cubits, it's already airspace that it's not part of public domain. So therefore that domain, it's makom ptur, it's something that the person is exempt from holding a liable for something. Now what we're going to discuss in this page, page 5, is all kind of sub-scenarios or subsequent of something that it's a question if that considering a private or public domain. Such as the discussion of yesterday in regards to hand. Meaning, if a person standing in a private domain, his body is in a private domain, but his hand stretch out to a public domain, and therefore his hand should be treated as a Carmelit or should treat it as Mekom Ptur. The same thing we talk about somebody who throws some items, and it was private domain and public domain and private domain, and he throw that item, for example apple, from a private domain to private domain, but in between it was the airspace of what? Of public domain. We discuss also, we'll discuss, if time allow, also subsequent of certain situations, such as somebody who's impure, who touch a oil and wine, oil on the top of a wine, and transfer it. So the big question is, since he's impure, we consider that as something that it's in juxtaposition to Shabbat, is something that the person did 2 works, like Akira and Hancha, or not. For those who just walk in, Akira meaning uprooted an item from one domain, Hanakha is placing that item in a different domain. As we said in the Mishnah, if someone did Akira and Hanakha from private domain to public domain and vice versa, in a completion of both, he violated Torah law that it's called Melechet Hotzaa, meaning carry from one domain to another. האיתמר על הרב ושמואל דאמר תבה הוא לא מחייב רבי אלא ברשות היחיד מקורה. דאמרינן ביתא כמאי דמל ידמי אבל שלא מקורה לא. So we rejected the previous point that Rav and Shmuel both said that we only deem a person liable if they cover in private domain, which is they have a roof. So we said the house is considered as one that is full, which means that the entire house with all its space is considered one unit, and each part of it is considered as filled with actual object, and therefore an object passing through the house is considered landed on the actual surface for at least 4 by 4 handbreadth. But on the other hand, if it's a private domain that is not covered, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi does not deem him liable, because we said we differentiate if it's covered or not. So again, what we ask a person who throws something. Now we talk about the opposite way, from a public domain to another public domain, and a private domain is in between. So we ask, is that considering a full melacha of הכנסה and הוצאה or no? וכי תן אמרנו במקורה, התנך ברשות היחיד מקורה, ברשות הרבים מה מקורה מחייב. If you say that our Mishnah speaks about a covered domain, which means that lifting and placing the hand is what is considered if they were performed in a place, or that has the arba amot, the 4 handbreadth. So now what we're thinking, it's covered in private domain. If you go the other way, lifting from place to place hand are considered if it's lifted from place unto one area, or 4 by 4 handbreadth. But if it's covered in a public domain, he is liable at all, because again, if it's covered, what we said earlier, the whole issue is when it's come to a public domain, so it's not including the airspace. So if you have it as a full roof, if it's covered, how you treat it? So he said, ואמר רב שמואל בר יהודה אמר רבי אבא אמר רב הונא אמר רב המעביר חפץ 400 דוש ולרכיב במקורה פטור לפי שאין דומה לדגלי מדבר. So in the desert, it was a special order. It was a banner of the desert, and the way that the tribe was moving from one place to another in a desert, it was it's like considering as a public domain. Even each tribe was in on spot. We treated this as a public domain. So what we said, in the area that many people pass daily, has to be 600,000 people, so in order to call it public domain. But here it was all these tribes that each tribe set in their own domain. So we treated in a sense as a public domain, even it wasn't the whole condition of regular domain of public domain, because it was a tribal, the way that they encamp it. So we said here, didn't Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda say that Rabbi Abba said that Rav Huna said that one who carry an object 4 cubits from place to place in a covered public domain, even though transferring the object 4 cubits in a public domain like carry out from one domain to another is prohibited by Torah law. So in this case, he is not liable. The reason that since the covered public domain is not similar to that tribal, the banner in the desert, that the tribe have it as a area that banner of the tribe of Israel passed in the desert, and the labors that were prohibited on Shabbat is drive. The whole idea is drive from the labors that were performed while the building in the tabernacle. Remember we talked that the whole 39 prohibitions originated the way that they building the tabernacle during the time that the nation of Israel were in the desert. And the desert was most definitely not covered. So consequently, even according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi opinion, it's impossible to explain that our Mishnah is referring to a case that covering what? As a public domain. You can't say it because the whole origination was the whole idea of the Ach de'ave Mishkan v'chashiva, that it's in the tabernacle and it's important. Ela Rabbi Zera Amani Achrimi. So he said it's a different opinion. The others Acherim, it's meaning the other bright. The Tanya Acherim Omrim. Acherim, it's like unknown, or some others who said. Amad b'mkomo v'kibel chayav, akar b'mkomo v'kibel patur. If a person stands in one place and he received, he is liable. But if he moved, he uprooted from one location to another, he is exempt from violation of Torah law. Amad b'mkomo v'kibel chayav. Why? Because we said that it's because even though he performed an act of lifting, right, the placing of the object was facilitated by the action of the one who received it, right? And therefore, the one who threw it did not perform the act of placing. He doesn't do hancha. So that's the opinion of Acharim. If he stood in place and received the object, and one who threw it is liable. עמד במקומו וקיבל חייו הבאין הנחה לגבי מקום ארבעה וליקה, אלא שמע מינה לבאין על מקום ארבעה. Don't we require placing upon the area that it's arba and arba amot, 4 and 4 handbreadths, and there is none in this case. So what we conclude that according to Acherim, we don't require 4 by 4. So he said, "V'dilma הנחה לא בעינן, העקירה בעינן." So he said, the Gemara rejected it. Said you cannot prove from that. It says why? The idea that placing it, we don't require it the 4 by 4 because the lifting is require a 4 by he did by 4 4, but not the placing. העקירה בעינן והנחה נמי דילמה דנפיש כנפי וקיבלה דקנה מהנחה. But he extended the corners of his coat and received it, so in that case it's also placing upon the area that is 4 by 4, so it's no proof there. אמר רבי אבא, מתנית כגון שקיבל בתרסקל והניח על גבי תרסקל, די קנה מהנחה. So the Mishnah is speaking about a guy that was, he has a basket, and he placed it at the top of the basket, so it's also placing, performing an area that 4 by 4. So So imagine, you guys, one person throw one thing, another person has a basket, he didn't collect it with his hand, he has this basket standing there, open the basket, and the basket collected the items. So he said, that's one situation. Or if a person himself did, via doktani, Tanet Raskal Shebiado. We said in the Mishna that it's hand. Remember that the person stretches his hand, or right? So he said that he received the basket. So the answer is, here the text the Mishnah teach the basket in his hand. If you tell me that this basket is in a private domain, but if he has the basket placed in a public domain, so what happened to that basket? It became a private domain. Why? Because we presume that the basket is 10 handbreadth above the ground, and its surface requires side of creating the private domain. So therefore we treat it as a private domain. Rabbi Weisblum hold one who stuck a stick into a ground of a public domain and hung a basket on the top of it, and threw an object from a public domain, and it landed upon it, he is liable. Why? Because he threw it from the public domain into a private domain. So therefore, the surface of the basket is 4 by 4 hand cubits, and in 10 handbreadths above the ground, it's considered private domain. We said in the Mishnah that if the homeowner stretch his hand outside and he put it in the hand of the poor person who's standing outside, why we say that he's liable? Why? Because according to that, his opinion, the basket is considered a private domain. The owner of the house is what he's doing. He carrying it from private domain to private domain. So that's basically proof that this opinion of the Mishnah is according to whom? To Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara said, "Afilu tema Rabbi Yossi Yehuda hatam lemala masara, chalema masara." You have to say, even according to this this Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda, it's speak about above 10 hand cubit, but because if it's below, it's the 10 hand cubit ground, so it's different. So it's considered carrying out, and is liable. Kashal Rabbi Abau. Kashal Rabbi Abau miktanet raskal shebiyado vayado ktani. We don't say in the Mishnah that is a basket in his hand. What we said, hand. אלא אמר רבי אבאו כל ששלשלת בו למטה משלושה וקיבלה. We speak about unique case, that what it means, that person lower his hand below than 3 hand cubits. What we said at above, it's a problem, but he put it below than 3 hand cubits of the ground, right? And received the object in his hand. So what? Below than 3 hand cubits, it's considered, it's like in the ground. And therefore a place 4x4 handbands. Va'omed ktani. So we said that the person stand. So how it's possible that his hand is such a low place? So he said besoche. Besoche, what it means? He bend down. So he said v'baitema beguma. Or another way that in the ground it's a hole. So in his hand is a adjacent to the ground. V'baitema benanas. We may say that the person is a midget, right? So his hand, even when he's standing, is within 3 handbreadths of the ground. Amarava ichpal tana la'ashmuinan. Rava said ichpal tana la'ashmuinan kol hani. So why did the Tana need to tell us all these cases? Amarava yado shel adam chashuva lo karba al arba. That's the point. That the hand of a person is considering it's like 4x4. It's because that the hand is the standard conduit for place and lifting object in a specific place. The hand does not have the requisite area of a significant place, the measure of the significant area for placing being a 4x4 handbeds. So when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylon, he said that the person said is considered 4x4 handbreadth for him. Amar Rabbi Avin, Amar Rabbi Elai, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Zarak chefetz melach biyado shel chavero chayav. If a person throw an object and he landed the hand of his fellow, so he is liable. Mai kamash min yado shel adam chashuva lo karba al arba. That the hand we consider 4x4. Amar Rabbi Yochanan chad azimna. So Rabbi Yochanan basically said it in one time. So they said, so maybe we thought that the hand we're not considering 4x4 because his hand is significant by lifting or receiving an object in his hand. So therefore we teach us that the hand's significance is absolute and do not depend upon the intention of the one initiating the action. So let me wrap it up. What we said here is, if a person take some item from a private domain to a public domain, even without 4x4, because hand doesn't need 4x4. Hand, it's called Beit Achizah. It's a place that has its own independent significance, and therefore it's considering the same category is 4x4, which means the hand doesn't have my wishes in that sense. The hand is like independent entity. So even a person throwing in the air, the hand himself in considering a makom, a place, because the minute you have aqira and hancha, trace a scenario, a person standing in a private domain, and he's standing down just by incident, and somebody else throw an item from a public domain, and that person did a aqira and hancha, so the other person is basically in a private domain. If the other person did the aqira, now the person who's standing in a private domain, he received it, right? So we ask a question, well, how are you treated? Because trace a scenario, if you have a person who is athletic, and he throws something, and while he throw it, he was able to run and get it, right? And it's not in the domain of 4x4, right? He's so quick that he can do it. Now, it's not so simple to say that he is in violation. Why? Because here is the discussion. He said, אמר רבי אבינה, אמר רבי אלי, אמר רבי יוחנן, למד ממקומו וקיבל חייב, הקם ממקומו וקיבל פטור. Rabbi Ayin said that if a person he stood in his place and received an object that was thrown to him from another domain, the one who threw it is liable. But if he moved from his place and then received the object, the one who threw it is exempt. So what do you see? You see here, the same writer that said the same thing, because it was two entities. So basically the question is, if a person is in one location and get it in another location, how you treat it, right? He said it's a serious question. One who will throw an object from one domain and move from his place and run to another domain, and then receive the same object in his hand in the second domain. How you treated? The person, let's say, is in athletic. How you treated? Excellent. How you treat that person? Is it two people or is it one person? Meaning, if a person throw an object from one domain, right, to another domain, now what happened is he changed his mind. He ran and he caught it, right? So what happened is he have in his mind one thing, and now he has another action, but he caught it, right, while he's in the air. He get it. So you treat him, quote unquote, as a two people, or you treat him as one person, and he left it open. Teiku. So what do we explain? In order to understand the dilemma here, just to elaborate, give me another minute. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's a person who throw something, some item, but the same person who throw the item, he is the one who receive it. Meaning we talk about one single person. So he threw it from one place, that item was up in the air, and then he put his hand, he's like an athletic person, and he catch it. So Rashi explained, in one hand you have Akira in the private domain, but the problem is he planned something in one way, and then he changed his mind and he get it in another way. How do you treat it? Meaning, do you say that it's considering oker and maniach in the Arba Amot or not? Why? Because the public domain is halacha Moshe misinai. We said it, that it's considering a הוצאה מרשות לרשות. It's like a carrying from one place to another. Tosfot explained to us in the very bottom, דיבור המתחיל כשני בני אדם הוא פטור. Do we treat it as two people? So he said, ורבנו חנן אל גריס איפכה כשני בני אדם דמי וחייב. Which means that it's considered like, רבנו חנן hold that it's like two people and he is liable. Why? Because he said, the dilemma here is, the ha'it avid machshavto, that the person thought about something, he planted, and what he planted happened, right? Or Dilma, or he said here, it's like, like you have two hands, right? You carry an item from the right hand to the left hand, or vice versa. So it's one entity you're taking from one location to another. How you treat it? Because he is in a private, in the public domain, and if you tell me that it's he walk or he carry it on purpose is one thing, but if he throw and he get it, right, so that's different. What's the point? There is a concept called melechet machshevet asra Torah, something that involved in your wisdom, in your pre-planting the Torah forbids you. But he did not involve in thinking, you know, he throws something, then he changed his mind, then he grab it. So how you treat it? You treat it as a two people, or you treat it as a one person did something? So they leave it in unsolved. Teiku in the Talmud is mean they let the question stand unsolved, and since it stands in unsolved, it's unsolved. which means there are some say that it's abbreviation of Tishbi, Yetaretz, Kushiyot, V'ibayot, that God willing soon the Mashiach will come, and then we have the Eliyahu Tishbi that reconcile those questions that is unsolved. So far it's open in the air question. You treated this one, also two. You remember, yesterday we discussed a situation of shooting, arrow and bow, remember? So it's someone throw an arrow and then he changed his mind, right? But it's already done and somebody else get killed, right? So you don't treat that person like in an essay. But here, since he collected before it's landed, how you treat it exactly. Okay. So אמר רבי אבין אמר רבי יוחנן, נכניס אותו לתוך חצר חברו, חייב, וקיבל מגשמים חייב. That's important. Person is thirsty. So what did he do? He's standing next to his fellow, his neighbor, his friend yard, and he take a rainwater in his hand and he brought it in the public domain. He is standing in the public domain. He is thirsty, and he's taking the water that it's in the neighbors and he put it in the, so what's the problem? His friend has, we call it in Hebrew marzev or ma'aziva. His friend have like, you see those rain that you have a place that you can collect rain or help the rain to flow from one location to another, right? So he used that to collect in his hand the rain, right? He didn't take the rain from the air, he take it from that spot and he put it while he's standing in a public domain. So they said he's liable. Matkef la Rab Zeira, Mali tino chavero mali tino shamayim iu la avid akira. Rab Zeira said, wait a second, he doesn't do any lifting, right? What's the difference if he get it from heaven, he get it from his friend, right? Why? We said in the Mishnah that he's exempt. Why? Because he didn't do a lifting. So for what you require to he didn't do anything. Lote makibel. So the Gemara answered and said, you don't say that he received the rainwater. Ela kalat. So Rashi explained to us, pashat yado, he stretched his hand, v'yardu letocha, and the water came out. De lo avad maaseh, didn't do a physical action. The action that involved with lifting, he didn't do it. Suta. What we required, that you have to have a 4 cubits, and it doesn't have, it's lacking. It was a wall. So what did he do? He swept off in his face, and the water was lifted from the area that they have 4 tfachim wide, which
so
means
he took the water instead of having it placed in his hand.
Right, took the water. So they said al gabe kotel va'alonach, so it's not rest. So the amar Rava bekotel meshupa, achaname bekotel meshupa, which means the water, it's like in a place that the wall, it's not straight, the wall is like, how do you call it? Sloping. So we talk about the sloping wall. The sloping wall, I must tell you, when I prepare this shiur, I have to confess, this area I'm still in question, and anyone who have an answer, those who view us, I give you my email, and if you have an answer to that, I deeply appreciate it. My email, rabbi, RABBIMPW @gmail.com. If you have any answer to that question, I appreciate it. What's the problem? We said here, I'm speaking about a sloping wall. My problem is that the water is continue to run. So if they continue to run, what's the difference if it is sloping or is not sloping wall? It's still not clear to me. So if you have an answer, you're very welcome to give me.
Well, I think sometimes in the sloping wall, if you have like divots and crevices and so forth, the water can collect there on a sloping wall, whereas on a vertical wall, there's never going to be places for water to collect. But if it's on a sloping wall, if you have like a little divot in there, the water could stop there.
Okay. But how you change the status? I understand, but how you change the status? What's the big difference? He's still if you tell me that it's in violation, is in violation. He collected the water. So what's the difference it makes if you take it from water that it's it's sloping or not sloping.
Well, I'm thinking if it's a vertical wall and you just put the hand there, the water falls off the wall into your hand. It never stops. Whereas if it's a sloping wall, if there's like a little divot and he goes in and scoops the water off of that, then he's actually taking it off the wall instead of it falling into his hand.
Possible. Possible. והיכא התמרדרה, והאהה דתנן. So basically, this is now we're going to deal with Mishnah in Tractate Eruvin, page 97b, and we're also turning the page to 5b. היה קורא בספר על האסקופה, ונתגלגל הספר מידו, גול לא יוציאו. Okay, a person said, which is the entrance of the house, מפתן הבית, the entrance of the house, it's called אסקופה. And he's reading a book. Book is basically in that category. It's a Megillah scroll or something like that. And now all of a sudden, the book, which is like the scroll, rolled from his hand and landed in the public domain below. So what did he do? Golelo etzlo. So he rolled himself, right? So that the whole idea is that we have a status that is called Carmelite, right? What we said in Carmelite, that if it's in a 4x4 wide, and between them they have 10 tfachim high, right? So it's considering a Carmelite. So therefore, he rolled it, right? So the whole Torah prohibition apply only when it's the entire object from one domain to another. But here you see the scroll is one location and is partially of that put in the public domain. So since the person remain in one place, the hands roll it, or he roll, but his body is one domain. So it's rabbinic, but it's not a biblical. So Rashi here elaborate, and he said, כגון גבוה 3 ואורכו 4 רשות הרבים עוברת לפניו. דהי נפל כולי מידי ומהדרי לי, if everything ran away from his hand and he returned. So he says one status, but here it's half and a half. So how you treat it? So he said, golelo eslo, he can roll it for himself, right? That provided that it's all still in his hand, okay? היה קורא בראש הגג ומתגלגל הספר מידו, if one is reading, is sitting in the top of the roof, and now the scroll rolled from his hand, עד שלא יגע 10 טפחים, גוללו אצלו. Until he not reached the 10 cubit, is a din like a Carmelite. So he rolled it for himself. משהגיעו 10 טפחים, but the minute he reached the 10 טפחים on the ground, we treat it differently. So הופכו על הכתב, he should turn it over to what? To the written side. והבינן בא, and we ask concerning the Mishnah, עמי הופכו על הכתב, why he turned to the written side? הלא נח, is not rest in a public domain, ואמר רבא בכותל משופע. So we said that it's a sloping wall. So what's the sloping wall? So we said that because the between the roof is in a public domain, you have that sloping wall, there is the angle, right? So and it was within the 10 tfachim from the ground. So therefore, the rainwater is going to the sloping wall, and from there he collected it. Now we want to differentiate between a book. It's not a book necessarily, but it's anything that it's a permanent item, that it's standing still, versus water that it's not resting in a sloping wall, right? It's running water. So we differentiate between water or liquid or something that it's moved to something that it's standing in one. So if you have guma, you have like a hole. So the hole, he is like a trace, a situation. A person is in a public domain and you have like a pit. So you have a pit, and the water is moving. So the pit itself, how you treat the pit, in that sense you treat it as reshut hayachid, as a private domain. But then he's oker, he's moving, he's doing akira, uprooting to public domain. So I said, Guma, Pshita. If it's whole, it's obvious that he's liable. Right? So what's the chidush is? So you may think that water lying upon water, which means the upper layer of the body of the water, it's not considered as at rest, right? So he is liable for what? For taking the upper level of the water and transforming to the others. So they said that the water is it's considering as at rest, right? The way that they do that, I just want to give you some explanation to put it together, that because the entire body of the water, it's considered as one single entity, so the top layer of the water views rest upon the top. To make it even clearer, I'll show you soon an example of a Tuma and Tahara. Not me, the Gemara explained it. ואז דרבה לתעמד, אמר רבא, מים על גבי מים, היינו הנחתן, אגוז על גבי מים, לאו היינו הנחתו. So imagine you have, for example, a nut or apple, and the apple is in the private domain, רשות היחיד, and you have a shlulit, you have some type of water that it's in the public domain. You know, shlulit is what, when you're walking on the street, on a sidewalk, and you see an area that it's not straight area and there's some water collecting in that spot, right? So basically, you don't have full action of Akira and Anacha, because what happened is that this one item, the apple, it's a stable, standing item, and the other one, it's a moving item, which is the water. So you don't have the issue here with carrying. So by Rava, egoz bikli, ukli tzaf al gabe mayim, egoz, meaning the nut, is in a vessel. So that's one category. And you have the vessel flow in the water. So how you do it? Batar egoz azlinan v'anaich, or lima batar kli azlinan v'adonaich denaich. Do you follow the idea that you go by the nut, and therefore the nut, it's not resting in the vessel because the vessel is moving? Or you go by follow the vessel, right? But the vessel is not rest because it's moving in the water. So you see the two entities, how you treat it. So again, teiku. So you left it unresolved. Similar case. Shemen shetzaf al gabe yain, machloket Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri ורבנן, דתנן שמן שצף על גבי יין ונגע טבול יום בשמן לא פסל לשמן לבד. רבי יוחנן בן נורי אומר שניהם מחוברים זה לזה. Introduction. You have someone who's a tvul yom. Tvul yom meaning someone who touch a dead body. Someone who touch a dead animal. Someone who touch a shichvat zera, semen. So we say that for 7 days he is tameh, he's impure. On the 7th day, what he need to do? He need to duck himself in the mikveh, in the water, and he is pure to involve with teruma, right? And that's, you remember what we said at the beginning of brachot, the very beginning? Misha'a she'akohanim nichnasim le'echol bi trumatam, which means for the time that the priest go into their shift to collect the truma, which means at the end of the day, at the end of the 7th day, he duck himself, and there is a time that he can be tahor, he can be pure to touch the truma. Now, that day, the 7th day, during the day, that day before everything is completed, if at that time, right, he touch teruma, so what happened? That teruma, that donation, that contribution, he basically touch it, and now that part is become sheni letuma. It's already second category for tuma, from impurity. So basically he can do with that maser sheni, he can do it chulin, something that is not sacred because it's pure. That's not considering rishon and tuma. Now, that teruma, that item that he touch another one and make a shlishi, make it the third one. For example, you have a b'sar kodashim, you have a meat that is already in a state of kodashim, it's a sacred, it's dedicated for an offering. Now you have the other piece of meat that he touched. This one touched, this meat that he touched the other one. Right? So, what are you saying? You're saying that this turned from the second to the third. Now, this guy is a wise guy. So what did he do? He is a tvul yom, right? It's the day, the seventh day, at the time that he's supposed to duck himself, right? Now, you see a flowing, or you see a wine, and at the top of the wine, there is an oil. Okay? Now, what happened here? He touched just the oil on the top of the wine. So according to Tana Kama, if there is oil on the top of the wine, it's not considering mechubar, it's not considering an attached. The oil is not attached to the wine because it's a liquid. Remember we said liquid on the top of the liquid. The oil is independent, and therefore if you touch the oil, it's nothing to do with the wine. The wine can be used. According to Rabbi Yochanan, he says no. Both of them, meaning both the oil and the wine, they are all attached, they're all connected to each other. And therefore, it's become invalidated to both of them. Now you juxtapose to our subject. According to Tana Kama, if he touched the oil, what we understand to our subject, touch the oil, has nothing to do with the other. You don't have Akira and Anacha. But according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who hold that the oil and the wine are all one entities. So the minute it is that is the same as doing Akira and Anacha both. אמר רבי אבין, אמר רבי הילה, אמר רבי יוחנן, היה טעון אוכלים ומשקים ונכנס כל היום ויוצא כולו, אינו חייב עד שיעמוד. If the one led the food and the drink, lifted private domain to he can carry, or one the private domain to another all day, and he's not liable until he stand momentarily and then continue walking again. אמר רבי יבוש עמד לפוש. ממאי? So it's only a person that is stand to rest. Why? How you know it? מדאמר מר תוך 400 אמת לפוש פטור. לחטף חייב. If he is within the middle of 4 hand cubits, so he said that he is we said that he's liable, but if he stood in rest, he's exempt. It's because we said that he done complete. Only if it's a completion, then you said the completion 2 entities of Akira and Anacha, that's one thing. Otherwise not. Lechatef. If you adjust the load, he is liable. Why? Because it's considered someone who's carry within the 400, chutz le-400, beyond the 400, right? Amad lafush chayav lechatef patur. If he's stood in to still rest, he's liable. Lechatef, but he's adjust the load, he's exempt. Mai kamash melan שלא הייתה עקירה משעה ראשונה, that the lifting was not performed for this purpose. אמר רבי יוחנן חד הזימנה, so we try to juxtapose the two one another between what Rabbi Yochanan said. אמר רב ספרא אמר רבי יוחנן, המעביר חפצים מזווית לזווית ונמלח והוציא פטור. So imagine a person standing on Shabbat in one place. He wants to you have a time, let's say it's a summertime, there's a long Shabbatot, so what did he do? He wants to straighten things out in one room. So he's standing in one room, and he decided to how to set things up and make it looks good. He moving things from one room to another room, like he tried to put the house in order. Now he sees that there are some stuff he doesn't want it. He doesn't. He changed his mind, right? He decided it's not belong here. So what did he do? He put it outside, right? So what happened here? You ask a question, what the prohibition? We call it melechet machshevet. If a person involved in a thought, in a plan, and it all set a plan is one thing. But what did he plan originally? Just to move it from room A to room B. and then change, and he put it to a public domain. So he said, patur. A person is exempt. Why? שלא הייתה עקירה משעה ראשונה לכך. Because when he lifted originally, what is his purpose? To put it from room A to room B. He didn't intend to put it, and it's not melechet machshevet. It's not something that he pre-planned in his mind. So he said, Amorai ninu. This is a dispute with Amoraim. One repeated in one way, one the other. Tanu Abanan. המוציא מחנות לפלטיה דרך סתיו. A person carried from transfer object from where? From platia. Platia is like a shuk. It take it from his store to where? To stav. Stav is like a public area that you have all these merchants. They loaded and unloaded their stuff. So people don't walk there. It's only the merchants that putting their materials and loaded and unloaded. So how we treat it? We treat it like a Carmelite. And we said chayav is liable. Why? Because it's transferring it for what? From private domain to public domain. Ben Azai poter, Ben Azai exempting. Again, because Ben Azai hold that is a different status, that he doesn't hold it as a Carmelite, he hold it as a Mekom too. Bishlama Ben Azai, we understand according to Ben Azai, Kasavar mehalech keomer damer. Ben Azai hold that person walking is the same status as a standing. There's no difference. Ela Rabbanan, by the Rabbi Nehid Name de Kasavar mehalech lav keomer damer, but they hold the maintaining that walking is not the same as standing. So how we find that someone is liable to transfer through the intervening exempt area? How you because think about it. If someone who's walking versus someone who's standing, how you treat him? You treat him as someone who's is one location, or you treat him as someone who's moving from one location to another. So Ben Azai said, so is no difference. But the others, the Rabbanan, how you hold it? Amar Rav Safra, Amar Rabbi Yama, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, midei da'ava ama'avir chefes birshut harabim. Hatam lav af al gav dechama denakit le va'azil patur ki manach lechayav hachana meloshna. So Rashi explained to us that this yoter me'dalet hamod v'chol kama delo manach lepatur. It's similar to one who moving an object more than 4 hand cubits to a public domain. So if it's, as long as he's not, he holds the object and he proceeding more than 4 amot, he will exempt from liability. But the minute he put it down, he make it anakha. So he said is no there is no difference. So tomorrow we're going to continue the discussion of the carrying above the 4 amot. And then we're going to discuss the difference between Moshitu and Zorek. If someone handed over or someone you're throwing from one location to another.
Rabbi, I have a question. If a large basket, more than 4 by 4 tefachim, is considered a private domain in and of itself.
Okay.
And if you were to put something in that basket and then perhaps using a stick to lift it and place it outside from your private to your public domain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the machloket. We said that if you hold that since the initiation of that act was made by Mr., let's call him Reuven, the Reuven initiated that. He hold that. He make things happen. He changed the status.
Correct.
So therefore, it's involved with his initiations. So we consider it as a type of work involved, or you say that it's something that, as we call by the Tosfot, melacha grua, that's something that happened without the person initiation. It just happened at itself. Then you treat it differently. That's part of the dispute. We are still in the middle of this discussion. How you treat it? Do you treat the basket as a separate entity or not?
Right.
Now we go to a few halachot before we finish the shiur. We said that the Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim 347 said, Yado shel adam chashuva lo ke'arba'a al arba'a. The hand of a person, when it's come to Hilchot Shabbat, it's considered that is a area by 4 by 4 hand cubits, which means that one who lifts an object on Shabbat from one domain and places it in the hand on the person standing in another domain, or one who lifts from the hand of a person who is in one domain and places it in a different domain, is chayav, is liable. Another halacha, the Rambam said in the Hilchot Shabbat, chapter 13, Amad bimkomo ve'akar bimkomo. So if one throw an object from one domain to another domain, and the object is caught by a person who remained in his place in a second domain, so the one who threw it is liable because he placed an object to another domain. However, if the second person move his place and caught the object in his hand, and the one who threw it is exempt. Why? Because it's the way that we studied with Rabbi Yochanan with regard that there is no dispute. So it's all question how the things end up. But basically, it's the whole idea of Shnei Kochot Be'adam Echad, that the two forces in one person. Right? Because we said, we ask a question, if the two forces in one person, how you do it. Another halacha is, Aya koreh b'sefer ala iskupa v'nitgalgel hasefer miyado. The Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim 352 said that one who is reading a sacred book, and on the threshold, and the book rolled from his hand. So the Mishnah Berurah explained that the scroll and unrolled and landed on a Carmelite, if one of the scroll remained in his hand, he may roll it back to him. Right? That's even the threshold is in a private domain, which means 4 by 4 hand cubits and a 10 handbreadth high. And the scroll unrolled into a public domain. It was permitted in order to prevent disrespect for the sacred text. Right? That's part of what we explained in Tractate Talmud. However, if the book fell from his hand completely, he is permitted to roll it back only if he roll it into a Carmelite. Now, the idea of a book rolled from his hand on Shabbat, the Magen Avraham said that it's prohibited to roll the book back where it's sitting. It's what the explanation of the Rabbah. Now, if he's at the top of the hall, one who is standing in one domain and extend his hand into another domain and take water from the top of the hall filled with water and bring it back to him. So he is liable, since all the water is considered as it was placed on the ground. So therefore, it conforms to typical manner of lifting and placing it the way that the Rabbah concluding. Now, how about the egos bekli? What happens if it's a nut in the vessel, or the vessel and the vessel is flowing on the water? So the Rambam said in the Chot Shabbat, chapter 13, he said one who lifts a fruit and was placed in a vessel floating in the water is exempt. Why? Because a floating object is not considered to be rest, and picking it up does not constitute an halachic lifting. This is all more true if he lifted the vessel which itself was floating on the water. So although the matter is remain unsolved, in a situation of uncertainty like this one, the practical ruling is that he is a basically exempt. And then we said another important halacha, and that's halacha that we learned today clearly from the Tvul Yom, said shemen shetzaf al gabei yain. So the Shulchan Aruch hilchot tumat ochalin, oil that was floating at the top of the wine. One who's immersed himself during the day touch oil floating on the top of the wine, he did not thereby disqualify the wine as the opinion of the rabbi, because we said that it's two different entities. The one is wine entities and the oil is the other. Now we said that היה טעון אוכלין ומחשין ונכנס ויוצא כל היום כולו. So one who was laden with food and drink, and he enter and exit all day long, right? One who carries a object in his body from domain to domain is only liable if it comes to a stop, and thereby perform an act of placing. Even when he stops, he is only liable if he stopped at rest, but if he stopped to adjust the burden, he is exempt. That's the Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Abaye.